Welcome back for another book talk video. Today it's Magical Monday, and that means I'm talking fantasy. I want to talk about a book that deals with a reincarnation concept. That's my theme from yesterday, today, and Wednesday. So I'm talking about R.A. Salvatore's book, The Companions. The Companions, I gave 5 out of 5 stars. The book really impressed me, even though the cover is misleading, and I'll hopefully get to that in this video. The book is technically a part of 3 different series if you think about it. The Dungeons and Dragons people who own the copyright to the Forgotten Realms have it as a Forgotten Realms novel just in general. They produced it as part of the Sundering series. It was book 1 in the Sundering series, which had 6 different books. Each featured a different concept, a different main character, and thus the books really weren't linked other than they were all taking place around the same time. And it's also, number 24 or so in the Legend of Drizzt series. And that series follows the main character, the protagonist, Dark Elf Drizzt. His name is spelled D-R-I-Z-Z-T, which caused a lot of people over the years to not know how to pronounce his name. And they even make fun of that in the books sometimes, where there's a kid that calls him Drizzt, but it's pronounced like D-R-I-S-T, Drizzt. But let me go ahead and get on with some talk about the book. This story, I really applaud R.A. Salvatore, which, by the way, the R stands for Robert. He goes by Bob. He tells everyone to call him Bob. He's a really fun guy. I applaud him because there was a difficult situation going on. The Dungeons and Dragons people at Wizards of the Coast had moved D&D from 3rd edition to 4th edition, and then from 4th edition to 5th edition, and through that progression of new editions of the role-playing game and the materials, over 100 years went by. And that's a struggle for a lot of writers because they have characters in a book series that goes along with the setting. The writer's not actually in charge of the setting. Sorry, my cats are hissing at each other in the background. R.A. Salvatore had to deal with Wizards of the Coast changing up the setting for the Forgotten Realms, moving the time progression so much. And it wasn't as big of an issue for his main character, Drizzt, because Drizzt is an elf, and elves can live for many centuries. But there were a lot of other characters involved in the story. Love interest, best friends, adventuring companions who were humans or other fantasy races who weren't necessarily going to live for that long. And so, sadly, R.A. Salvatore had to kill off these characters in various ways. And in the 4th edition phase, he gave Drizzt some serious issues, different adventures, meeting up with new people. It was very interesting, the books that follow that Neverwinter storyline. But then 5th edition came along, and it was like something magical happened. R.A. Salvatore decided to bring Drizzt's best friends and greatest companions back to life. And of course, he's able to use the fantasy setting with the magic and the fantasy gods in order to do that. But I absolutely loved it. And the reason that I said the cover of the book is a little misleading is because even though this is a book in the Legend of Drizzt series, Drizzt is barely in the book. And I'm actually really okay with that. As awesome of a character as he is, it was nice to have a book that focused on these other characters so much. It's where you get Drizzt at the beginning, and then you get the story of his friends who've been reincarnated. And it's great. They've died, but they are told by a god being that they get to come back to life with all their memories intact, but as babies. They have to start over with their lives as babies. And it brings them up to the point to where they would be joining the storyline to align with D&D's 5th edition setting and the changes with it. So it's really fascinating. One of the characters is a grumpy old dwarf who has done so much with his life, and the scenes where he is a baby are absolutely hilarious. He does not like having to rely on other people to take care of him. Oh, it's awesome. His scenes are my favorite, though the other characters are also a delight to read as they come back to life and explore these new situations because they're born into new families. They have to figure out how to live life again and how to negotiate their new circumstances. which in some ways come along with new powers or abilities in the story. But ultimately, at the heart of the story is this philosophical psychological concept of what if you could be reincarnated with your memories? How would you choose to do things differently, having already lived one life? Hope you'll check out the book. It completely can be read by itself on its own. You don't have to actually know the storyline of Drizzt or the Forgotten Realms or the Sundering or any of that. None of that actually matters. It's really just a tale of these people becoming new people as they experience this form of reincarnation. Hope you enjoyed today's book talk. Every day is a good day for a book talk. Peace.